Hi, this is Dr. Miller. I'm going to spend a few minutes here talking about the integrated school neuropsych CHC model, which is the theory that the PsychWriterPro is based on. Let's go ahead and start here. This is the model. I've been writing about this since 2007. It's gone through several different iterations, but basically, when you're evaluating a child, think of it as like a level system. You start out and you really want to rule out any type of sensory motor type of capabilities or issues that the child might be experiencing. So we take a look at the child's sensory processing, auditory, visual, sometimes kinesthetic. We take a look at fine motor functions, visual motor integration, their ability to scan visually, and gross motor skills. And it's important to do that because those things impact upon the other areas that we're assessing. So if a child has a visual acuity type of problem and you're getting ready to do a visual type of cognitive task, well, that may not be really appropriate to do because of a baseline type of sensory issue that's taking place with the child. So we want to screen for those things, basic sensory motor functions. Then the model takes a look at basic cognitive processes. We've got visual, spatial, auditory processes, learning and memory, and executive functions. And those things are going to impact upon the child's ability to acquire new information. So, acquired knowledge on the right is the next big part of the model. Acculturation knowledge is a sub area. It's basically what you have at your fingertips, encyclopedic information, like being able to identify a picture of the pyramids or whatever it happens to be. Language abilities includes both receptive and expressive language. We've got reading achievement, written language achievement, and mathematics achievement. Cognitive processes interact with acquired knowledge, and acquired knowledge interacts with the cognitive processes. I introduced a concept several years ago called facilitators and inhibitors. Attention runs throughout everything that we do. If you're not going to have good attentional skills, it's going to impact upon your ability to learn, to do problem solving, to pay attention to auditory information. So, attention either helps facilitate cognitive processes and acquire knowledge, or it acts as an inhibitor. Same thing with working memory, and then same thing with the efficiency of cognitive processing or processing speed. All of these things need to be interpreted within the child's social emotional context, as well as cultural context and environmental factors. That's the model. The model really was created initially as a way of organizing school age cross battery assessment data. And basically, rather than reporting things in a linear fashion, where you say, I gave a test of cognitive abilities, this is what I found, and reporting that, you are going to integrate everything based on the underlying neuropsychological constructs that are being measured. The purpose of the integrated school neuropsych CHC model is to facilitate clinical interpretation and providing an organizational framework. It helps strengthen the linkage between assessment and evidence based interventions, and it also provides a common frame of reference for evaluating the effects of neurodevelopmental disorders on neurocognitive processes. Started out in 2007 when I wrote the first edition of the Essentials of School Neuropsych Assessment. I introduced an earlier version of the model at that stage. Over the years, I've written extensively about the model in various publications. The Best Practices in School Neuropsych book came out in 2010. That was using the model as a lens to look at neurodevelopmental disorders. We are part of several chapters we've written in the Contemporary Intellectual Assessment book about the model in 2012. We had another publication in 2012. In 2013, I updated the Essentials book, the second edition, based on lots of research studies that were done at Texas Woman's University by doctoral students, dissertations. We updated the model, and this is when I started to integrate more CHC theory with neuropsychology. In 2022, we introduced the Best Practices second edition book and updated all the literature, and again, using the model as a lens to look at neurodevelopmental disorders. The theoretical influences of the model include Lorien theory, neuropsychological theories like Baddeley and Hitch's working memory models, CHC theory, cross battery assessment, cognitive hypothesis testing approach, and process oriented approach. All of those different theories, our model is like an amalgamation of all of those things put together. The thing that's important to realize about the model is we have broad classifications, and those broad classifications are typically subdivided into what we call second order classifications. And then some of the second order classifications are even subdivided further into third order classifications. It's just a way of subdividing things down into the very discrete neuropsychological functions that the tests are designed to measure. This is an example of sensorimotor functions. That's the broad classification. We have a second order classification of lateral preference. What side of their body is dominant? Are they more right-handed or left-handed? Do they use their right eye more frequently than their left eye to look at things, or their right foot or their left foot, and so on? Then sensory functions is a second order classification that can be broken down into either auditory or visual acuity as a third order classification, tactile sensation and perception, kinesthetic sensation and perception, and olfactory sensation and perception. Then we've got fine motor functions that can be, we look at coordinated finger hand movements. Then we've got visual motor integration skills, which is another second order classification. We've got visual scanning with both direct and indirect measures. And then gross motor functioning can be broken into balance and coordination. And then we have a lot of qualitative behaviors that can be a second order classification as well. These are the ways that you would report things out in the PsychWriterPro when you have the test results that are entered into the program. You start out with classroom observations, then any tests that you have that are related to basic sensory motor functions. Then you've got the cognitive processes, the facilitators, inhibitors, the general intellectual functioning, acquired knowledge, and then social emotional functioning. Then you have an overall summary of the report. And it's important to know that based on the referral question, you can turn on and turn off any of these sections. And then finally, this is how things are dealt with in the PsychWriterPro, is we use the Neuropsychological Processing Concerns Checklist, 4th edition. It's optional, but I would highly urge you to use that to identify the presenting concerns from the teacher and the parent. And then you actually collect samples of behavior to validate those concerns. And then you write an overall summary, and then you repeat that same thing over and over again.